Well, hardcore conservatives have once again trampled the rights of women, gays, and transgender folks, this time in South Carolina. What's more, those Republicans are now forcing college students to study the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Federalist Papers. I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Bill Whittle and Stephen Green. Well, men, after news broke that college students had to read about homosexual acts in some required reading and were actually preparing to stage a satirical production called How to Become a Lesbian in 10 Days, Republican politicians cut $17,000 in funding for the University of South Carolina upstate. And the school closed its Center for Women and Gender Studies. Here's some student reaction.
We had no warning. There was no signs this was coming. It was just bam, it's going to be closed. We take that as a sign that the politicians' bullying techniques are working, and the school that we thought supported us doesn't support us.
Now, that relatively small amount of money was reallocated to comply with a 90-year-old law which requires state schools to teach a year's worth of courses on the nation's founding documents. No women professors were fired, and no gender studies courses canceled. But the local paper, as it happens to be owned by billionaire Warren Buffett, called the move, quote, a chilling act of retribution. Stephen Green, doesn't your heart go out to those students?
No. You know, you go to school, you go to college to earn a degree that's supposed to teach you a trade or a skill, something marketable, carrying you forward. And if you want to know why college costs too much and teaches too little, it's because it's full of this, I want to say a really bad word, and I'm not going to. It is full of this stuff that is absolutely useless. You want to broaden yourself, you want to explore your sexuality, you want to do whatever you want? Great. Go ahead, do that. I'm a live and let live guy. But don't expect it to be paid for out of the public funds that nobody has enough of when there are real subjects requiring teaching. And you know what? If you're not going to teach our founding documents, so this is where you draw the line. Let's get one thing really clear. You don't like this country, you're not a patriot, and you have no business, absolutely no business in a public institution like this.
Well, by the way, the How to Become a Lesbian in 10 Days show got canceled before opening night. The reaction to this brutal crackdown was swift and sharp. Critics said that the move by the legislature was a crippling blow, totalitarian, un-American, and some likened it to McCarthy-era blacklisting. One alumnus actually wrote this: as an alumni, a non-traditional student, and a straight, white, older man, I can't say enough about how my participation in WGS, that's Women and Gender Studies courses, and the Center, changed my life for the better. Because enlightenment comes slowly to some outside academia, students, faculty, and staff need this resource. We cannot let an American Taliban rule our institutions of learning. Now, Bill Whittle, he's a pretty good writer for an alumni, are he not? Tell me what you think of his trenchant analogy, likening the state legislature to the Taliban.
Well, as a traditional, non-traditional student, straight white male, I'm very happy that you late in life made the discoveries that most people probably make in college when they're in their teens and 20s, but you know what? That's really your business. I'm with Steve on this one. That's fantastic, marvelous. You don't deserve a faculty area. You don't deserve a special center for any of this stuff. It's not academia. It's just not. I think this is the greatest story I've heard in a long time, and I think the main salient point here is just this. Whenever the left has anything go their way, if they upset a law, if they overturn the will of the people, as they did in California, so the people of California changed the Constitution, and then they overturned that as well. Whenever they do this kind of strong-arm thing, whenever they get guys fired from Mozilla or force them to go to re-education camps because people disagree with their point of view, well, that's America in all its glory. That's all of us working together to forge a new future of red, white, and blue awesomeness. But if anybody pushes back in any way, and there's the slightest step back in the other direction, it's the Taliban, it's McCarthyism, it's all these other things. It's not the Taliban. The Taliban are the people that want to put people into burqas and you know, lock them behind a door, never let them out. but why quibble over these minor details? These people are not good people, and I think the way to respond to them is through mockery. I really do. I just think it's really just time. I think people have had enough, Scotty. It's time to just say, you know what, fantastic, knock yourself out. You know, how to make a founding father in 10 days. That's the new play that's going to be opening, and the fact that it's state law makes it even sweeter.
Well, the University of South Carolina Upstate says it didn't actually close the Center for Women's and Gender Studies, but merely combined it with several other study centers. And no, I don't think state legislators should be micromanaging curriculum at state schools. But does it really sound radical, right-wing, or Talibanish to require taxpayer-funded institutions to actually teach the Constitution, the Declaration, and the Federalist? This sounds like a small victory for common sense. But before you go all Gouverneur Morris and James Madison on me, keep in mind that the professors who teach these topics work for the same school that ran the Gender Studies Center. As you may know, just because you lecture on the Constitution at a university doesn't mean you actually understand or believe what it says. For Stephen Green, Bill Whittle, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.